Hey everybody, it's Angie Atkinson with QueenBeing.com. Today we're going to discuss how and why you need to stop being so pissed off all the time. Are you ready? Let's do it. Like I said, my name's Angela Atkinson. You probably call me Angie. I am a certified life coach and author and a survivor. You can get free resources for survivors of narcissistic abuse in relationships at queenbeing.com. You can get my books at booksangiewrote.com. I have about 20 of them there. And if you visit narcissismsupportcoach.com, you can get personalized narcissistic abuse recovery coaching. Plus, right now, I have a free 5-day email course on the front page of the site that I designed specifically for narcissistic abuse survivors. All right, well, let's do this. So, we all know that narcissists can be very infuriating, to say, the very least. And if you're stuck in any sort of relationship with one, well, you'll go through a myriad of emotions on a regular basis. A toxic relationship is often a roller coaster ride of, emotional highs and lows. And I'm talking about the highest of the highs. I mean, because you know what? When it's good, it is so good. And when it is bad, you want to die. Literally want to die sometimes. Okay. Today, I am actually making this video specifically for one of my viewers who sent me an email. And in the email, I just received it this morning. She said to me that she was feeling just a lot of rage about a narcissistic person that she is being forced to deal with on a regular basis. Now, in this case, the narcissist is a female, and I don't want to go into details on the relationship because I want to keep my viewers' information confidential. But let me just tell you that I completely understand why she feels the way she feels. And sister, if you're listening, let me tell you, I feel you. I feel you. I feel you. So, with that being said, I'm going to talk about all this today. Okay? So, let's go ahead and dig right in. So, we're going to start with a few simple questions today. I want you to ask yourself, do you feel like you spend a lot of time being angry, resentful, or irritable? Do you feel, annoyed a lot? Do you think that it's related to the people in your life, such as the narcissist, or is it something that's coming from inside yourself? And how do you think that you handle it in that way? I want you to just kind of start thinking about those as we move forward through this video, okay? So, I want to start by telling you that if you feel angry more often than you really want to, you're probably looking for a good way to manage it, right? I know I am. And the thing is, I actually made another video about anger a while back. And, you know, it is very, first of all, I just want to say it's very natural. At some point during your narcissistic abuse, you're going to feel rage. You just are. Because, if you haven't already, you will. Because at some point you're going to realize whether a lot of times the rage happens early in the beginning until the abuse really kicks in full force. And then sometimes people lose the ability to even be angry. But if you are angry and you're experiencing narcissistic abuse, I want you to go over to my YouTube channel and watch the video about when anger is useful and when to let it go. Because that is something that is also very important and something that sometimes anger can be used to propel you forward, and it's other times it's more like toxic and poison to you. So, like anything, there's excess in any area of your life is never good. Anger is especially true because not only does it affect you physically, mentally, but it affects you physically. All right. Anyway, like I always say, understanding your problem, whatever it is, or any situation, is the first step to managing it or handling it or dealing with it, right? So we're going to start there. Let me just tell you this first. Anger does not make you bad. Just know that, okay? The first thing you need to know, you're not weird or horrible, okay? Anger is a normal human reaction to things like injustice, poor treatment of yourself and others, and a whole bunch of other stuff, okay? Um, it's just something that it's not good or bad. And like I've got this quote here from helpguide.org. It's perfectly healthy and normal to feel angry when you've been mistreated or wronged. And the feeling isn't the problem, it is what you do with it that makes a difference. Anger becomes a problem when it harms you or others, okay? And in the case of a narcissist, and a narcissistic relationship, The anger that you feel is only hurting you because the narcissist loves it, loves it, loves it. It is pure supply for him. Whether, if he's able to get you flustered and angry, make you cry, make you scream, make you throw things, oh my gosh, that is just like his birthday every day. You know what I'm saying? Or her birthday. Because again, I just want you to remember that in this video, I specifically am making this video for someone who is dealing with a female narcissist. And I know that a lot of my male viewers have said, hey, why do you talk about this in the sense of, why do you say he instead of he or she or they? And the thing is, I can't always, use he or she or they because it feels unnatural to me, and I like to be really straight with you guys and just say what's real to me. Now, and the fact is, my first narcissist was a female family member, and so I do absolutely know that there are so many female narcissists. I just want to put that out there because I don't want anyone to think that I'm anti men, because I'm certainly not. I have two sons of my own who I love dearly, as well as a daughter who I love dearly. And anybody who has sons cannot be anti male, all right? At least not a good parent. Anyway, moving on. All right, so do you feel like your anger is unhealthy? Do you think that you might have narcissistic rage of your own? I know a lot of people who are dealing with narcissists find themselves feeling like they are becoming a narcissist. I just addressed this in a video the other day, but just think about that possibility. Anyway, the bottom line is you have to let the anger out. A lot of times, and especially when we're in a difficult relationship with someone, a narcissistic one or a toxic one, we hold our tongues when we have anger. Sometimes we do this because we just we realize we're not being logical, but other times we do it because we're trying to avoid confrontation or upset in a relationship. This is especially the case with a toxic relationship because narcissists have this way of forcing you into submission. And that means, eventually you may even stop being angry because you're just so freaking tired and exhausted emotionally and mentally from trying to make someone understand you who really will not choose, whether he chooses or she chooses to or not, you know, depending. Now, in the case of the viewer who sent me the email, her situation is a little different because she doesn't thankfully live directly with the person, the woman that she's dealing with, but the woman is someone who she has to deal with on a regular basis, and she's pulling the wool over other people's eyes. This is a very common thing. So, unfortunately, in this case, this woman's husband has become sort of a flying monkey for this person without even realizing it. And that is something that maybe he needs to know, right? So anyway, moving on. Um, we don't want to have that confrontation. That's who we are. But sometimes people just want to make you feel crazy, and you and I both know narcissists are like that. If you think you're dealing with someone who intentionally creates chaos for you, maybe you are dealing with a narcissist. If you visit queenbeing.com, you can find out the top 10 warning signs of narcissism in a relationship as well. And I just made a video on this the other day too, so check that out at my YouTube channel. All right, moving on. So when it comes to anger, listen, it can literally almost eat you alive. Okay, not literally, but almost literally, because it does physically affect you so much. And I don't know about y'all, but when I was stuck in those narcissistic, relationships with those toxic people, um, oh my gosh, I would push down any feelings that I had. I would just swallow them. And what happens when you do that is that eventually it comes out one way or another. In my case, I started wearing my pain. I ended up gaining 100 pounds and walking around at 5 feet tall, and you know, a lot, like 250 pounds. It was outrageous. I did lose 100 pounds 5 years ago, and I've kept it off ever since. If you're interested in knowing about that, you can check out Project Blissful at queenbeing.com, or there are actually books on Project Blissful at booksangiewrote.com, but that's irrelevant. Let's move on. All right. But you can see before and after pictures is what I was trying to tell you. Also, if you go to queenbeing.com and you look at the how to lose 100 pounds page, you'll see a little video that I did. Oh, that video I guess would still be on my YouTube channel as well. It's kind of an old one, but it shows the transformation. Okay. I did not mean to get off topic. I'm sorry about that. So my point is that you have to express your anger or it will manifest in some other way, whether it's physically or you have a nervous breakdown or you just absolutely lose the ability to feel and think on your own through like a dissociation type symptom. Okay. But If you don't have a trusted friend or family member you can turn to, there are plenty of safe ways you can release your anger, like joining a support group, finding a therapist or a coach, or even journaling or blogging about your issues. Let me just pause and say really quickly, I have a support group on Facebook called SPAN, Support for People Affected by Narcissism in Relationships. Visit queenbeing.com/span, SPAN, and you can join for free. Okay. And it's a very active, amazing group. You will love it. Moving on. Okay. So, one thing I want you to avoid, do not post your drama on social media accounts, okay? Now this sounds really silly, and a lot of people, depending on what generation you're in, you may just naturally be one of those people that shares your issues with the world. Um, I'll tell you, if you're a young person, you might want to avoid that because at some point in your life you may want a job that is a professional type job, or who knows, you might want to run for president. But posting on social media now with drama can ruin your life later. That's just a little public service announcement for you. But regarding narcissists, they, again, when you feed them that kind of drama, they freaking love it, and they will egg it on, and they will push it, and they will get the whole world turned against you, or at least they're in their mind. Okay. Now, this is obviously, like I said, leads to trouble, additional stuff. So, the best thing that you can do here to deal with this is to look outside your own head and the anger that's like sort of trapping you in there, right? And gain some new perspective. So, of course, it's important to express your anger, like I said, but it's also important to do so in a healthy and productive way. So, if you scream at your kid for an hour, does it really do anything to benefit your relationship? Does it really do anything to make the kid feel better or do better or stop behaving a certain way? I think we both know that it just makes your kid not like you anymore. Now screaming at someone is not a productive way to deal with anger. So if arguing with your spouse brings out your inner mean girl, makes you say the most hurtful things you can think of, or mean guy, maybe you need to come up with a better way to cope with your anger. And I think a lot of times narcissists are the ones who I'm talking to here, but because of what we deal with when we're dealing with a narcissist, we also often become a little bit mean, especially if we're a strong person by nature. If we're not mean, then we're crying, and so it's a, it depends what it is. Anyway, so my point is though, you know, there are better ways. So even when you get over it, you know, your spouse or whoever you're yelling and screaming at isn't going to be able to forget the things you said. Even if they forgive you, they're always going to remember that you said that mean thing that hurt their feelings, right? So this is just another way that you damage your relationships. And I'm just, in that case, I was just using the spouse as an example. I know some of you are dealing with narcissistic spouses or ex spouses, and I'm not saying that you should do any special sort of, you know, forgiveness for them necessarily. But like I said in yesterday's video, you do need to forgive them, even if you never tell them, because eventually the anger will kill you and not them. Okay. So let's talk about these facts from helpguide.org. So, like I said, out of control anger hurts your physical health. Constantly operating at high levels of stress and tension is bad for your health. Chronic anger makes you susceptible to heart disease, diabetes, high cholesterol levels, a weakened immune system, insomnia, and high blood pressure. And that's just the freaking beginning. Remember I told you I gained 100 pounds myself, and I did a little informal study with some members of some of my queenbeing.com readers and some members of the span group. And what I have discovered is that a lot of people have weight problems when they're dealing with narcissistic abuse. It's a very common thing. Okay. Out of control anger hurts your mental health. Chronic anger consumes huge amounts of mental energy and clouds your thinking, making it harder to concentrate, harder to see the bigger picture, and even harder to enjoy life. It leads to stress, it leads to depression and other mental health problems. And again, those things also affect you physically. And as people who have been affected by narcissistic abuse, we also have the situation with PTSD and CPTSD to worry about, right? And there are a lot of symptoms that go along with that. Some of which become physical. All right. Out of control anger hurts your career. So, your job, constructive criticism, creative differences, and heated debate can be healthy, but lashing out only alienates your colleagues, your supervisors, your clients, and erodes their respect. Of course, what's more is that a bad reputation can follow you wherever you go, making it harder and harder to get ahead. out of control anger hurts your relationships with others. We all know this, and we see it in the narcissist every single day. You know, it causes lasting scars to the people that you love the most, and it gets in the way of your friendships and work relationships. So if you're dealing with a lot of anger, right, I want you to just take a step back, and I want you to look around yourself, and I want you to remember, how do you feel, or how did you feel when the narcissist would just, go into a rage and attack you? How does that feel to you? Well, you know, chronic intense anger makes it hard for other people to trust you because you've been there. It makes it hard for people to speak to you honestly or even feel comfortable around you. So they don't know what will set you off or what you will do. And please don't forget that explosive anger is especially damaging to children. And I'm not just talking physically. I'm talking on a lifelong emotional level. They joke, about, oh, my kids will end up in therapy, but they will. If you're constantly angry at your children, you're constantly exploding at them, it is going to be a problem in their future. Okay. Whether they take it on in the respect of becoming angry themselves or they become people pleasers, you're damaging your children if you're focusing a lot of your anger on them or even sharing it near them too much on an explosive level. So keep it together. All right. And I mean that in the most loving way possible. I hope you know that. I am a human being just like you, and I have to struggle with things like this too. And that's why I talk about these things, because everybody struggles with anger. Everybody wants to scream sometimes. But when we learn how to deal with this stuff in a healthy way, we are taking the next step toward becoming the best possible versions of ourselves. And quite honestly, y'all, this is what I am all about. I've always been all about trying to become the best possible version of me. And I believe that all of us have a best possible self, and that self is defined by ourselves. And anyway, I'm getting off topic, but let's get to it. What makes us feel angry? Let's talk about that. If you feel angry a lot, does it manifest as a feeling of just being kind of irritated and annoyed and you don't know what's going on? Because I know personally I struggled with feeling that way, feeling like I was very struggling, very angry and very upset, but I didn't know why. I felt irritated, on edge. If anybody talked to me, I felt upset. This is common for people who are dealing with or narcissistic abuse and even going through recovery. Again, check out that article, Are You Being Gaslighted? 10 Things You Need to Know If You Love a Narcissist, at queenbeing.com. That will be really helpful for you. Anger and irritability obviously can be a very serious challenge, but understanding the cause of it, of those things, can help you to find a solution that will bring you relief. So you've got to begin to by loving yourself enough to want to feel better and to improve your relationships, right? And I know that sounds stupid, but as you move forward, you're going to really want to try to sort of fall in love with who you are and love yourself in the same kind of way that almost as a mother loves her child. Well, a healthy mother loves her child. You want to feel toward yourself as protective and loving as you would toward your child. Okay, that's very hard to get used to, but it's also something that is just absolutely necessary, because a lot of us who are dealing with narcissistic abuse in one way or another have had weird parent issues, right? And so you often have to sort of begin by reparenting yourself. You know, when we struggle with our own parents and the way that we are raised by them, whether we're abused by them or we're neglected or ignored or whatever, we often end up with narcissists because we think we can fix people when they're broken, etc. And whatever. The parents often can cause you to have a lot of confusion about love and relationships. So let's talk about some dynamics of anger. We become more angry when we are stressed and body resources are down. Okay, so we are rarely ever angry for the reasons we actually think we are, right? Uh, so we're often angry when we didn't get what we needed as a child, like I was just saying. And we often become angry when we see a trait in others that we can't stand in ourselves. Now, this is an interesting one, you guys. Sometimes I would feel toward people, I didn't like that, somebody, I don't know, somebody was this way or that way, and then I would look and I would say, oh, maybe I thought somebody was lazy, and then I thought, well, I looked around myself, I'm kind of lazy, So when we begin to point things out in people that we don't like about them, sometimes we just need to look at ourselves and go, maybe this has to do with us. And if you want to see an example of this, look at any narcissist that you know in your life, and remember how they often project their own terrible qualities onto their victims, right? So, like in my case, my narcissist would tell me that I only cared about myself, or that it was always all about me, and that was never the case. That was always the case with that narcissist. So it's very interesting. That's just an example of how you can kind of take a look at that. So under many current angers, right, and many issues that you have right now are, they're really related to old disappointments, traumas, and triggers. And this is, again, especially the case when we've gone through this narcissistic abuse crap. Again, sometimes we get angry because we were hurt as a child. We get angry because we get angry when a current event even brings up old resolved stuff from our past. Like, for example, there's a song, and I can't even remember the name of the song, but in the song, it's like some hard, really, really hard rock song. And if you think of it and you know it, please leave it in the comments. I can't think of it what it's called, but in one part of the song, this man is screaming, "Please, mommy, don't beat me again," blah blah, something like that. And I tell you what, the first time I heard it, it really, really triggered me, and I did not like it. So it made me cry at first, and then I got angry, and it was stupid, and I read, but that's what happens. Triggers, right? So got all of that. Sometimes we feel strong emotions when our situations are similar to what we've felt before. Like if you're fighting, if you're arguing with someone, say a narcissist that is in your life now, and they say to you, "Look what you made me do," or "Look how you're making me act." You might think back to when you were a child and your mother punched you in the face and said, "Look what you made me do," when the blood was all over the carpet or whatever. You know, Something to think about. So, yeah, that was from Get Your Angries Out. So, anyway, here are some of the most common causes of anger. Low blood sugar, believe it or not. Hypoglycemia, also known as low blood sugar, can make adults and children irritable. Low blood sugar levels can be caused by diabetes, medications, or stress. So, yeah. In addition, forgetting to eat or not eating enough food can trigger the issue. So, as you're going through your recovery, make sure you're eating, your 3 squares a day or 5 squares a day or whatever you choose to do. I kind of like I kind of like to do 5 small meals if I can, or 3 small meals and 2 snacks or something like that. But it just kind of helps keep your metabolism up. Make sure you're getting enough protein and fiber in your diet as well, and of course, drink enough water. Okay. You can raise your blood sugar level back up by eating carbohydrates or taking medications. I suggest you try to do this without taking medication, but if you do need medication, please, look, don't listen to anything I say as far as medical health goes, okay, because I'm not a doctor, but in my own experience, I find that I prefer not to have to take medication if I can avoid it. But if you are in a position that you think you might need it, please get in touch with your doctor and talk about it. Otherwise, just focus on eating as healthy as you can, or at least, making sure you get enough protein and vitamins and fiber and water in your diet. Okay. Speaking of water, dehydration can change your mood very quickly, as we all know, and it can make you frustrated. It affects your body and your mind, and even cases of mild dehydration can lead to mood swings and irritability. So, obviously, stay hydrated, and it can help resolve that issue. Stress, as we all know, can make you feel angry, frustrated, and upset. And when we're dealing with narcissists, stress is a huge deal, a huge part of what we're dealing with. So, practice regular stress relieving activities like yoga or meditation to keep the stress from building up. If you can, get out and take a walk or run, or do some push-ups, or just breathe. I like to meditate by walking. I can't stand to sit still for too long, and I find that if I put on my headphones and I pace around, or I walk around the block and I just focus on what I'm listening to and nothing else, or focus on clearing my head. I am really, not only does that help me for meditation, but that's a really great way for me to get ideas for just, things like these videos for you, and my writing stuff and all that. Excuse me, and all of that. So, All right, anxiety disorders. Irritability can be a sign of an anxiety disorder. And I don't know if it's an officially diagnosed disorder, but narcissistic abuse syndrome is a real thing, and I'm going to make a video on that in the future. Anyway, but if you think that you're dealing with an anxiety disorder, talk to your doctor, because a lot of times they can actually give you something to just kind of get you through. But also look at natural ways that you can. Alleviate anxiety through different techniques and stuff. One of the ones that I use personally is very, very simple. So it's called the 4 point thing. So look at any object or even the walls in your home, and look at each corner of it, four corners, right? And focus 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at each corner, 1, 2, 3, 4, in a little square. You can even do it with your computer screen. Okay. Anyway, the point is that by doing this, it actually causes your mind to refocus just long enough to give you the ability to think a little straighter. So if you're dealing with anxiety, that's a really good one. And also visit queenbeing.com. I've got a lot of information on anxiety relief there, as well as in my YouTube on my YouTube channel. Okay. Again, we talked about this earlier, PTSD and CPTSD. This is another common issue that has irritability as a symptom. And as we've talked about repeatedly, victims of narcissists in toxic relationships very often experience this kind of stuff, post traumatic stress disorder or complex post traumatic stress disorder. Learn more about that stuff at queenbeing.com, and I think I've also got a video on that at my YouTube channel. Alzheimer's disease is another thing. Now, again, this is not necessarily going to affect our younger viewers, but you might see this in a parent, or if you're if you're someone who's a more mature viewer, you might find that your spouse or your coworker or whatever. Anyway, somebody might have Alzheimer's disease. You hopefully are not struggling with that, but if you are, it's really important that you see your doctor because there are so many new treatments these days that you would be surprised at what could help and how much. But personality changes are a large component of that disorder, so patients do often have serious mood swings. And if you've dealt with that, it's very difficult and it's painful for both you as the person suffering and for your people in your life. So, but now, like I said, they've got so many new treatments out there that can help. So just try to work on that. And again, I'm not a doctor, but I have long touted the benefits of coconut oil. I just go to my local Aldi store, which is like a discount store, grocery store in my area, and I think in all over the United States, maybe. Anyway, but Aldi has organic. It's organic coconut oil that is cold pressed and it's unrefined. That's what you want. Organic, cold pressed, unrefined. I like to put it in my coffee in the morning. But anyway, it has helped me with a number of issues. I never get sick anymore. Everything's great. But it also supposedly has the ability to stop or slow the progression of Alzheimer's. So, might talk to your doctor about it again. Like I said, I am not a medical professional. I'm only a certified life coach. Okay. Hormonal changes cause a lot of anger for people. As our bodies age, hormones change and shift, and both men and women do experience hormonal changes. Of course, this issue is more frequently seen in women because of good old freaking menopause and premenopause, which do create mood swings and often feelings of frustration. Of course, all of us know about PMS, right? Premenstrual syndrome. It's another culprit that can cause irritability. But just like anything else, if you know that you're dealing with the problem, you can work to solve the problem. Educate yourself. That's like my whole thing. Whatever the issue is, whether it's narcissism or hormones or aging or whatever it is, weight loss, educate yourself. Once you educate yourself, you can always begin to solve the problem. When you know what you're dealing with, you are 100% more equipped to solve the issue than when you don't. Let me just say this too. Don't just accept your fate. Find out what options are available to you regarding hormone management. You might be surprised when you consult with your doctor about various treatments for hormonal changes, which could include natural remedies, supplements, medications, and lifestyle changes. It might not be as serious as you think. Hyperthyroidism. Thyroid issues can cause feelings of irritability, among other symptoms. A thyroid that isn't working properly can make you feel angry, frustrated, nervous, and anxious. Thyroid disease does have a large impact on your mood and it can affect your mind. Another one, caffeine withdrawal. If you decide to stop drinking coffee or eliminate other sources of caffeine, then you need to be prepared for the symptoms of withdrawal. So, one of the most common symptoms is, guess what? Irritability. Don't be crazy and stop drinking coffee, but I'm just kidding. If your doctor tells you to not drink coffee, you're going to have to be prepared to deal with this. And if you're just out of coffee, get your ass to the store and handle it. Okay. um, I can you tell I'm addicted to caffeine? Whatever, I'm human. It's okay. It's real. Trust me, caffeine addiction is real. To avoid the feelings of irritation and frustration, if you have to reduce or eliminate caffeine in your life for your health, and do it. But you might want to do it slowly if your doctor gives you the okay to do that. Again, always check with your doctor. Don't listen to me about your health. I am only telling you my experience. Depression, although it's not a symptom that is often caused, that it's not a symptom often associated with the disorder of, anger and excessive anger and explosive anger. It actually is, believe it or not, a sign of depression. So it's irritability and unexpected anger are a sign of depression, and then other symptoms like sadness and withdrawal are more common. But irritability is sometimes our way of, for those of us who don't want anyone to feel sorry for us when if we're sad, we try to keep smiling and do what we do. But sometimes when we're in a position where we just are pushed into the corner, we may lash out because we don't know how else to react, right? It's human. If you do it, just apologize and move forward. So, did you know that irritability is more frequently seen as a symptom of depression in teenagers and young children? They might have trouble expressing themselves, and so their frustration levels get higher. As a parent, I will tell you that if you are in a narcissistic relationship with, like a spouse or a partner, and you have children involved, you need to take a close look at those kids, and you need to do what you can to help them. Because even if you can't directly see their problems, you can look a little closer, and you can look outside of yourself, and you can see that they may also need help with some counseling or some depression help or even coaching, depending on their age. Be aware. Okay. Researchers have documented cases in children and teenagers that reveal that they may have or they may not have actual sadness as a symptom. A lot of times they try to express their depression through anger and irritability, and it's important to discuss those symptoms with your doctor, like I said, and get some help. Here's an example. I was a very angry little teenager, let me tell you. And I went through the whole I'm going to wear black all the time thing, and I'm going to dye my hair crazy colors, and I'm going to, be angry and at the world. And I thought that's, who I was. And I wasn't. I was mad. I was dealing with a lot of crap in my home life, and it caused me to act out in the only way that was really safe for me to do at that time, which was to appear to be a certain type of person, angry person, I guess. So, like I said before, knowledge is power. I say it all the time. And you know what, my friend? You deserve to be powerful. Remember that anger and irritability are optional, and they do not have to control your life. I want you to remember that you are the one that gets to decide how you feel. You. Okay, so if somebody acts a certain way to you, you can decide to get mad or not. You can decide to laugh at them and walk away and feel amazing, and I promise you that'll piss them right off, and then they can have the anger they're trying to inflict on you. I don't know if that's the best way to go, but there it is. The point is, you have to take care of yourself. You get to make the choices in your life. You can't change anyone but yourself, but you can change your perspective. And listen, friend, that means you can change your whole freaking life. Okay. All right. Now that you have a clearer understanding of anger, the causes of anger, as well as how you can manage it, you are empowered and you can make the choices you want to make to improve your health and your life. Your life. You feel me? Next time you feel anger, I want you to ask yourself this question. Is this anger justified? Should I feel angry right now? And if it is, I want you to ask yourself, is it helping me to improve my own life or anyone else's life? Personally, my litmus test is simple. It's either helping to improve the situation or it isn't. If it's not justified, it's not always productive. So do not bring any additional negative energy to yourself. So let me ask you a question. What do you think? What are your top anger management tools? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments and let me know. Let's talk about it. What do you do when you're pissed off? How do you handle it? What do you do when your narcissist causes you to feel rage? How do you handle it? What can people do to handle it better? Any advice you share in the comments can really help someone who has suffered as well. I would really appreciate it if you would take a moment and let us know what works for you, what doesn't. All right. Don't forget, before I close out today, don't forget to visit queenbeing.com for free tools, tips, and resources for dealing with narcissistic abuse recovery. And you remember, you can also visit narcissismsupportcoach.com for that free 5-day email course I designed specifically for narcissistic abuse survivors. And check out my books at booksangieWrote.com. And as I mentioned earlier today in this video, the 100 pounds I lost is fully documented in those books, as well as I think there are 6 or 7 of them that are directly related to narcissism and narcissistic abuse recovery. So check that out. And if you're looking for private one-on-one coaching, I'm really excited that I have a new office manager, Haley Smith, and you can reach out to her at mgrhaley blissfiremedia@gmail.com, or if that's too much to remember, just shoot me an email at angieatkinson@gmail.com, and I'll make sure Haley gets it, and she'll schedule us an appointment to talk. That's all I've got for now. Make sure to stay tuned for my Go Ask Angie series later today. I have a comment all picked out. I will be trying to respond to. I have to find it again, but I saw it last night. It was really good, and someone asked a direct question, so stay tuned for that. Again, I'm Angie Atkinson, certified life coach, author, and survivor. I will see you next time. Have a wonderful week.